And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we are going to continue our Week 3 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 3 matchup, all through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the New England Patriots. So if you are excited for this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below, like an open receiver downfield. Also, smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so you never miss a video from me. Last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. All right, let's get started between the Raiders and the Patriots. Going over to the box score here, the Patriots defeated the Raiders 36-20. Both teams are now 2-1 on the season. Let's talk about the Raiders first a little bit. Derek Carr, 24 of 32 for 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble. He finished the day with 14 fantasy points. Josh Jacobs, star running back for the Raiders, 16 carries for 71 yards and a fumble. Hunter Renfrow filling in for the injured Henry Ruggs, who missed this game with a hamstring injury. 6 receptions on 9 targets for 84 yards and a score. And last but not least, Darren Waller, 4 targets, 2 receptions for only 9 yards. Darren Waller had 0 targets in the first half. A bit inexcusable considering how he was just used in Monday night's game versus the Saints. Now, shifting over to the Patriots. Cam Newton, his roughest, is that a word? His roughest game as a member of the Patriots. 17 completions on 28 attempts, 162 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. He really just wasn't able to get into a groove during the majority of this game. Sony Michel, though, and Rex Burkhead absolutely gashed the Raiders. I think the new thing that we're going to talk about is start your running backs against the Raiders. We've been saying it for Carolina. I think it's going to apply to Vegas as well. Michel, 9 carries, 117 yards. Also caught 2 passes, which is, I think, it sounds like a career high for Sony Michel for 23 yards. Rex Burkhead absolutely dominated as well. 6 carries, also caught 7 passes for a total of 98 yards and 3 touchdowns. N'Keal Harry, pass catcher for the Patriots, had 4 targets, 2 receptions for 34 yards. He didn't do anything really noteworthy, but I really do think it is important for him to just continue to get acclimated and build that chemistry with Cam Newton. Harry is a guy who I'm really going to be keeping a close eye on as we progress throughout the season, because I think he is going to eventually be the number 1 option on this team. But going back to Vegas real quick, Josh Jacobs was not 100% entering this game. He was battling a hip injury, and so they did kind of limit his usage and his carries. You know, we saw back-to-back weeks where Jacobs was getting 22 plus carries, and this week he only had 17. He did catch 3 balls out of the backfield, so he's continuing to evolve as a pass catcher. We like to see that. And then really just as far as other running backs go for them, Jalen Richard didn't do much of anything. Neither did Devontae Booker. This is going to be the Josh Jacobs show, which it is just unfortunate that he did bust this week for you, only putting up 6.8 fantasy points in half-point formats. Hunter Renfrow. I did say Hunter Renfrow scored a touchdown. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. Renfrow is a guy who, if they didn't draft so many wide receivers and they really didn't revamp, if they really didn't revamp this pass catching core, Renfro would be a guy that I love. I think he's the perfect kind of PPR guy. He reminds me a lot of Adam Thielen. Renfro again saw 9 targets, hauled in 6 of them for 84 and a touchdown. He finished the day with 17.4 fantasy points. And if Ruggs is going to be out an extended period of time, I love Renfro as a spot start or a flex option week in and week out. I know he has great chemistry with Derek Carr, and that's only going to continue to evolve as Hunter Renfrow more so solidifies himself in a role in this offense. It is going to be a bit complicated for him as Bryan Edwards develops, as Henry Ruggs develops. It's going to be a bit complicated for him to continue to see consistent action on the field. But if one of them is out with an injury, Renfro is going to be a guy who is going to get a ton of targets. Bryan Edwards, I still haven't seen it from him yet. I'm staying away from starting him. He only caught 2 of 3 targets for 48 yards. That was it. let's see, Zay Jones did nothing in particular. Nelson Aguilar did nothing in particular. And again, Darren Waller. Darren Waller absolutely busted this game. There's no two ways about it. He finished the week with 1.9 fantasy points in half-point formats. Just a really, really disappointing game, right? We saw him get peppered with targets against the Saints. He finished with 16 in that Monday night matchup. And for him to only get 4 is so wild. Obviously, the Patriots defense does a really good job of taking away the opposing team's number one weapon for the most part, and that being Waller. It's not a total surprise that he was minimized, but for him to only finish with 9 yards is absolutely insane. So that is an absolute, that's just such a letdown, because with tight ends, right, we always just look for some level of floor, and we thought we were going to get that with Darren Waller, and unfortunately, we just didn't. So I'm sure if you played him, he absolutely killed you this week. Moving over again to the Patriots, just things I want to point out here. Again, it's now going to be start your running backs against the Raiders. We saw week 1, Christian McCaffrey scored 2 touchdowns against them. Last week, Alvin Kamara did the exact same thing as well and carved them up left, right, and center. And this week, between Sony Michel rushing for 117 yards and Rex Burkhead scoring 3 touchdowns as well as combining for just under 100 yards, this Raiders defense gets absolutely gashed by running backs every single week. They are also in a division with Melvin Gordon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Austin Eckler, and Josh Kelly. So it's going to be rough sledding once they start facing their divisional opponents, because all 3 of those teams have very solid running backs. And I am really excited to see what kind of numbers they can put up against this Swiss cheese run defense that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, N'Keal Harry did nothing special. He really did nothing important. But I'm just trying to keep a watchful eye, right? I've seen the chemistry that he has with Cam Newton already, and if that continues to unfold, he's going to be a very great waiver wire add at some point during the season. I'm trying to decide if I want to get in on it now. I'm trying to see what ways I can maneuver my roster in order to get him on my squad, because he is a guy who I think as the year progresses, he is going to finish likely as I'm not gonna say 1,000-yard receiver. I'll probably 850. 850 and 6 seems like in the realm of possibilities for N'Keal Harry, and I think that's going to be great output for a guy that you are picking up off of your waiver wire. Cam Newton, like I said, it was his worst game as a member of the Patriots. He just didn't look great. He wasn't able to get out of the pocket as much as we would like. 9 carries for 27 yards. The design runs weren't there. He just looked a bit slow. That Raiders defense, as I've said before, they have a lot of athletes on it, so they are a bit speedy. Just I don't know what level of talent they have. And there were definitely times where they just brought out the blitz, or they sent somebody, or they just sent somebody into the line, and Newton had nowhere to go with the ball. There were just times where he had to literally just slide at the line of scrimmage to avoid getting hit. And it is what it is, right? I think Cam set the bar a bit too high in his first 2 games back, admittedly. And we were due for some regression. I just don't think that this was the level of regression that we were fully expecting. In a game that had a pretty plus matchup against the Raiders, all things considered, he only finished the day with, I believe, 10.5 fantasy points for you. Any other notes here? James White, again, missed this game for personal reasons due to the death of his father and the critical condition of his mother. Anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. You're not picking up anybody off the waiver wire. Burkhead's kind of interesting, actually. We could talk about Burkhead for a second. Burkhead's interesting if James White continues to miss, because like I said, Burkhead hauled in 7 receptions. He had 10 targets, and he also had 49 yards with those, and he scored 1 touchdown through the air as well. So if that is the case, and James White is going to miss an extended period of time, which honestly would not shock me, Rex Burkhead could be a very interesting spot start in PPR leagues. He has that pass-catching floor, and that's what we like to see from pass-catching running backs. So that is going to do it for my Week 3 game recap featuring the Las Vegas Raiders and the New England Patriots. So if you enjoyed this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below. Also subscribe so that you never miss a video from me. You can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever, and I will see you in the next video.